Okay, so when we look at question one, sometimes the question gave away certain basic clue. For example, the question indicate that this is empirical rule, right? So we know that if it talks about empirical rule, then we have to be thinking about what? What should we be thinking about? 68%. What else? Anyone want to help? 68, they are 95% and 99.7%. All right, so it means that when we draw, we could actually draw the bell curve on this. All right, so 68 is for one standard deviation, 95 for two standard deviation, and 99.7 for three standard deviation. So we can draw the bell curve for this. My bell curve don't look great, so let me make it a little great. So let me see if I can draw it better. Okay, so if this is the mean, now the question indicated that the mean is 1 gallon, and then the standard deviation is 0.05, right? So what that is telling us that if this is 1, if I make a line here, every space is 0.05. That's the standard deviation. So this is 0.05, right? I can make another one, and actually I can make like a third one. So the second and then the third. But given that it's an exam, maybe I may not need all, so I may have to check. So when I move 1 to the right, that would be 1.05, right? Then when I move 1 to the left, that would be 0.95. So obviously, I don't need all of it. I just need this area, which is technically k equals 1, right? So if k is 1, then obviously I'm looking at 68%. Are we okay with this?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the second question, it also gave us a clue. It says we should identify the outliers, which means that, remember, outliers has two things. We have the lower end, which says that Q1 minus 1.5 times the interquartile range. And then we have the upper end, so these are outliers we're looking for, outliers. So the upper end is Q3 plus 1.5 times the interquartile range. Okay, so here we know that how many data points do we have? You have 15. So we have to find a median first. They've arranged it for us already. All right, so if we have 15, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then so it looks like this is the middle value. I don't know if you see it that way. All right, because there's 7 on the left and then 7 on the right. All right, so our Q2 is 72. Then we could find Q1 by finding the median of the first group. So if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then we can say that this is Q1, and then the middle one will be this, that will be Q3. All right, so Q1 is 65, Q3 is 83. Sorry, 82. 82. So in this case, I can now plug in, so that will be 65 minus 1.5. 1.5 times, I need the interquartile range. Now, we know that by definition, interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1. So we would say that 82 minus 65. And that gives us, is it 17? Okay, so I will need someone to do this past portion for me. And so we are looking at what are the values below. Then someone give me the answer for this.
It's
And
39.5.
you said what, please?
39.5?
Excellent. All right. So is there any number below 39.5? Is the answer yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so we get one of the numbers here. Now let's check if there is an upper outlier. So now we're going to say that 82 plus 1.5 times 17. All right, so we want numbers above. Okay, could someone help in this case?
107.5?
107.5. Is there any number more than that? It looks like
No.
no. Okay, so if that is no, what would be the proper answer? Oh, so I can see my own answer, right? Oh, yeah, 35 and 39. You know what is funny? When I saw the 39.5, 39.5 is somewhere here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't actually, I just, okay. So we choose this answer. Excellent. Okay. Now, question 3 is one of those questions when you see it's either you know it or you don't know it. All right. So that doesn't require a calculator. This is for sample and this is for standard population. And the square indicate that we are looking at what the variance, right? So this is sample variance, and then this is population variance. All right, so I believe that will be the second one. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, now the next set of questions, which is question 4, something that is not a measure of ability. Question?
Upper quartiles?
Okay, let me go back. Oh, because we're saying any number below 39.5. So 39 is below 39.5. Does it make sense to you? Okay. I also got tricked with that one. Okay, so question 4, measures of variability. Remember we did 4 of them, right? We did the range, we did the variance, we did the standard deviation, and then we did the interquartile range. So anything that doesn't fall in each one of these. So here it says something that is not. So obviously it looks like we have to choose the upper quartile. Okay, now question 5 is a nice one, right? Now, usually when we do what stem and leaf, we arrange from smallest to highest, but this has been arranged from highest to smallest, which is still okay. All right, it means that let me quickly see if I can. So this is like some kind of a bell curve, we have to do. So where do you think? So these are the high values. High values are up here, and these are the low values, right? And then you have few low values, and then we have a lot. So a lot of high values. So the long tail is on which side? Could someone help me with this? Uh, if you have to draw it, right, where do you think the low values will be here and then the high values will be here? So this is something more like this. You see it?
Yeah.
Because we're going to put 1, 2, blah, 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 up to 9 like this. So this is a little tricky because these lines were the stem were arranged in descending order instead of usually the one that you usually see is ascending order, right? So what kind of skewness is this?
To the left.
Excellent. So this is left skewed, right? Left skewed. All right. So because this is left skewed, now if the thing is skewed, if it's skewed, then the preferred measure of measure of central would be what? And then preferred measure of variability would be what? Would someone help me with this? As long as the distribution is skewed, what measure of central tendency do we prefer? Anyone knows it? The median. Very good. So that's correct for one. Okay, so everywhere there's mean, it's out. All right.
So it's the
Okay.
second one.
And then the measure of central tendency, what do we think? Oh, actually, they didn't even want variability, right? But since I've made mention, let me say, so if it's skewed, we prefer the interquartile range. All right, we prefer the interquartile range. But obviously, we see here that we have to choose the second one because it is also skewed to the left. So the median and the skewed to the left. All right, so that's a little tricky question. All right. Now, the next question, they want us to find the mean. So this is a question that it is going to be to your advantage to use a TI, right? But before you use a TI, you are going to find the midpoint, right? You need the midpoint. So 8 plus, let me see, 8 plus 11 is 19 divided by 2, so that's 9.5. All right, and it looks like it's jumping by 3, is it jumping by 4?
Or
So it would be 13 by 0.5. Next would be 17.5. The next is going to be 21.5. And then finally, we're going to have 25.5. So you go to your TI. So you're going to go to what? That's then edit. Is that agreement?
yeah.
Okay. Yes, Manuel. You good? Oh, okay. So it's back. We good? It is still blank. It should be back now. Peter, you facing the same problem? Okay, so Manuela is joining. Okay, excellent. So now start edit, and then we're going to see L1, L2. If there is anything under L1, bring the cursor here, and then you hit clear, enter. All right. So you're going to put the midpoint on this side, right? So put the midpoint. The midpoint comes here, and then the frequency comes over here. All right. So the 9, the 9.5, the 13.5, all those numbers will come here, and then the 37, the 49, all those numbers will come over here. So after you've done start edit, then you're going to go to start, then you go to calc. All right, then you select one var starts, and then when you select the one var starts, then it's gonna actually depend upon what calculator you have. If actually for list, you're gonna put L1. If you actually for freq list, you're gonna put L2. Now for those of you that have TI-83, for TI 83. When you select the one var starts, the cursor is gonna blink. So you're gonna put L1, comma, L2. Now note that L1 is what? Second one. Then L2 is second 2. L1 is second 1, L2 is second 2. Okay, so could someone tell me what you got? 17.5. So reasonably, it says approximately, so we could say 18. So we would choose 18. All right. So now let's see the next question. Okay, so in the next question, it's more like concept question, and it says what is the level of measurement. So let's see the question. All right, so if the second line, all right, now it's asking, says the time in seconds, time in seconds. So we are interested in the time in seconds. So here, could someone suggest for us? Time is a measure, right? So definitely it's between, so time, so it's something numerical. So we are looking at something that is quantitative, all right? But then, so it narrows us to either interval or ratio. Interval if 0 doesn't come, but time, 0 time in this case, so it's going to be a ratio, right? It's going to be a ratio. Question 8, it says classify each sample as random, simple random mean, systematic, cluster, convenience, or stratified. So in here, let's see what the story is. So they divided into 4 equal groups, right? So it means the population has been divided. So let's say A, B, C, D, and then what happened? From each one, they took 10 from here, 10 from here, 10 from here, 10 from here. So could someone suggest what we think the answer will be? Any suggestion? You take a group, you divide the group, and then you select something from every single group.
Is that stratified?
Excellent. So that is stratified. Very good. Where's stratified? The bottom one. So that is stratified. Okay. All right. Question 9. Let me push it. So question 9. It says that we are looking for what is the relationship between the standard deviation and then the variance. Okay, so we know by definition the standard deviation is the square, so standard deviation is the square root of the variance. Now, so if we want to find a variance, for example, then we got to take what? The square of each side. When we square this, and then when we square this, then when you square the square root, so this will cross that out. So we could say that this, whatever will remain is just a variance. And then this would be standard deviation squared, right? So looking at this that we have, we could say that the standard deviation squared is the same as the variance. Okay, question 10. So in question 10, classify as simple random. So they have the names were written on the hat. It was placed in a hat, right, in the bag. So roughly they shake it or something like that. Okay, so 40 contestants, all their names were written, placed in the back, and then 3 were picked. Okay,
Simple,
so
right?
what do you think?
It's simple.
Excellent.
Random.
So this is an example of a simple random. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay. Kali, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Kali, can I hear you? Yay. I'm very fine. Okay. So let's look at question 11. So in question 11 here, what we see here is that, let me see, it says, which of the following is true? So could someone help me identify what is the shape of this thing?
It's skewed
Shape.
to the right.
So we know it's skewed to the right. Very good. Good. It's skewed to the right. So we know this is good. The distribution is skewed to the right. The mean is probably smaller than the median. Now, what do you think about it? By the way, the mean would always pull towards where the long tail is, all right? So the mean will pull more towards this side. So the mean will be somewhere here. The mean always pull towards where you have the long tail. All right. So if the mean is somewhere here, the tallest part is the mode. So the median will be somewhere here. This is the median. So this is the mean is probably smaller than the median. What do you think?
True.
Is that true or false?
True.
The mean is probably smaller than the median. As you move from left to right, suppose I have let's say, suppose this is 3, this would be like what? 4, this would be like what? 5. Is the mean smaller than the median? All right, so that is a false statement, right? Because the mean pulls to the higher number side. All right, so when it's skewed to the right, the long tail is on the right side, the mean will go more to where you have the higher values. All right, so the second one is definitely no. Okay, now the third, we should summarize the data with the mean and standard deviation. Now, if it is skewed, what do we use to summarize the data? Anyone? If the distribution is skewed, then what central tendency should we use? I know we answered this question before.
Interquartile range.
Okay, so interquartile range for variability, and then what else? For central tendency, what should we use? I know Manuela answered that question before. Median, right? We use a median for central tendency. Central tendency. Okay, so this is no, this is no. Now, this is good for symmetrical. All right? If it's symmetrical without outliers, symmetrical without outliers, then the mean and standard deviation is good. So here, this statement is also not good. All right, so the only thing that is true is I. Okay, very, very good. All right, now the next question, question 12. Now they're saying that if a distribution is skewed to the left, if a distribution is skewed to the left, so if this thing skewed to the left means the long tail is on the left side, right? If the long tail is on the left side, then the mean will be, the mean always go where you have the long tail. The median is always the mode is always the tallest part. The median is in between. This is the median. All right. So if this is 3, this will be 4, this will be 5. Okay, so let's see what they are telling us. They said the mean and the median are equal. No, this is only true if they are symmetrical. The median is less than the mean. Oh, the median? No. The mean is less than the median. So which one should we choose?
The mean
Can you
is
suggest?
less than the median.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Very good. Okay, so we get to the next question. Looks like more of a concept question. It says that what measure of standard is most appropriate? The central tendency that is most appropriate to determine the winner of an election, right? So when an election is conducted, do we find the mean? No. Do we find a weighted mean?
Mode.
No.
Is it mode?
The mode. Good, good, excellent. The mode is what most people prefer. So the answer would be the mode. Excellent. Okay, now next we have, it says that a researcher for an airline interviews all of the passengers on 5 randomly selected flights. So this is what they're doing. There were so many flights, right? So many of them. And then we randomly selected 5. So let's say 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 here, 5. And then everyone, all, then all, then all, then all, then all.
Is
So
it
let's see.
is it cluster?
Excellent. So that is a good example of cluster. So the answer should be cluster. Very good. Very good. All right. Now on this side, so question 15 is an example of a problem that you shouldn't really waste your time. Use your calculator. All right. So here, take your calculator, go to start, then go to edit. Now, when you go to edit, there should be some things there. So take your cursor to L1 and then clear. First clear L1 and even if possible and L2 if you can, right? You know how to clear?
Yes.
Take your arrow there, press clear, press enter. That will remove everything and then plug in these values. So under L1, put 25, put the 25, put the 7, put the 22, put the 33, put the 18, and put the 15. All right, put those
And
numbers there.
I got 20 for the mean, for the sample mean, and then 8.9 for the sample standard deviation.
That is correct. The reason is that you have to choose XX because they said we are dealing with a sample. Okay, so for some of you, so from here, for some of you, let me state this. When from here, you're going to start again, right? Then you go to calc, then you're going to select one var starts. When you select one var starts, just the list, put in L1 where you have the freak list, clear what is there. It should be blank. This side should be blank. All right, so you're only using L1, that's all. Okay, very good. Now, when we go to question 16, it looks like it's asking us for empirical rule. So we're looking at 68%, what else? 95%, 99.7%. Okay, so we can actually, so when you're taking your test, let me advise you, because this is more like an open book also, all right, in the test, have that chart with you. There's a chart that we did in class, like it has, actually, let me do a better drawing. Let me draw it better. Okay, so let me draw a little big. But I advise you to have the chart for the empirical row with you. So cut is 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we have, okay, let me actually put the values in there. So the first, this is 34, and this is 34. And then this is what, 13.5, this is 13.5, this is what, 2.35, this is 2.35, and this is 0.015. Is it 0.015? No, is it 0.15, right? It is 0.15. It is 0.1015. It's 0.15. Okay, so they told us, so have this chart with you when you're taking the test, or draw it somewhere and let it be part of the things that you need by your side. Okay, so they told us that the mean is what, 462. Am I writing it correctly? Yes, 462. The mean is 462. The standard deviation is 98. So every step you move, when you move one step from here to here, you are adding 98 to it. So this will be plus 98 will be what, 560. All right, if we move down, then that would be 364 when you subtract 98, because 98, 98. Every single move is 98. But because you are taking the test, you don't want to spend all the time doing what you don't need to do, right? They just want between 462 and 560. So we're just looking at this area, right? So we would say what percent? 34, 34%. Sometimes my cursor adds up. So that would be 34%. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. Another empirical role question. So you have a lot of these also in the test actually. So they said two, so this is k equals to 2 standard deviations. So you're looking at that straightforward 95, right? Okay. Identify the measure. Well, poor, good, excellent. That is like ordinal, right?
Ordinal.
Is a name. Excellent, excellent, ordinal. Very good. Okay. Now let's see here. So these we will need to do the TI. We're gonna, so definitely I would say for sure you're gonna have a couple of questions like this. So we need to the midpoint. So is that 51, 54, 57, 60, 63, right? So L1, L2, so we have 51, 54, 57, 60, 63, L2, 5, 8, 12, 13, and then 11. If someone has the answer, you could let me know. I don't know what the answer is.
It's 3.85.
Okay. And we are choosing the sample standard deviation. All right. Now, the next question is the Chebyshev. Now, for most Chebyshev questions, sometimes they're tricky, sometimes they're good. Always for Chebyshev, usually I do something like this to remind. So K, the percent, and then sometimes the limit, right? For most Chebyshev questions, so it's always good to, well, percentage is always 1 minus 1 over k squared, and then usually you could times it by 100. But it's always good before you come into the test, remember I think two of them, right? Remember this. If it says at least 75 means what? Percent means K is
equals 2.
good. And the other one you should remember is at least 88.9% means K equals implies K equals 3.
3.
Okay, so these two are very important for you to have it because it's almost like an open book kind of test. Have it written some way, right? So in this case, if K is 2, then they're asking us for the limit, right? So the limit, it's the mean, the lower limit first is the mean minus the K times the standard deviation. All right, so let's do the lower limit. They said the mean is what? What does it mean in this case? 570?
Yeah.
570 minus 2 times the standard deviation is 70. So that will give us 430. Right, then the upper limit, let me write it up here. The upper limit is the mean plus the K times the standard deviation. So here 570 plus 2 times 70. And that's 140 plus that, so that'll be 710. So it looks more like the answer is the first one. All right, now suppose you're confused and you don't remember this formula. Let me show you another way. Draw a small line like this and put the mean in the middle. The mean is where's the mean? 570, right? Because K is equal to 2, you're gonna go 1, 2, right? One step is what? 70. So let's say when you go 1, 1, 2, so it's the same as doing 570 minus 140. Then you're going to go 1, 2. So that will be 570 plus 140. All right. So even if you don't remember these formulas, you can use the number line. You can use the number line like we did here and like we did here to do the problem. As long as you know the K, you should be able to get those kind of things. Okay. Now the next question looks more like one of those things you have to look at the eyes and know the answer. So could someone help me with this?
Skewed left.
Excellent. So it's just skewed. Excellent, excellent. All right. So let's go to the next. Now I see a lot of Z's here, so obviously it is a Z-score question. Now, so remember the formula for Z-score, right? In the olden times, like when you're taking this test, you don't have, it's not like an open book, open everything, all right? So we need to memorize this. So I'm still in that mode. Is a value minus a mean divided by the standard deviation. So all you're going to do is to just pick those things. Now, because it's open book and you don't want to be wasting time looking through your notes, and time is of essence. Okay, so if you're making some notes, this formula is a formula that you have to put in one of your notes. All right, if you're making a note by your side for the test, this is a formula you have to have by your side. Okay, so here they said the average of 17. So the mean is 17. All right, and then what is the standard deviation? The standard deviation is 2.7. And then what exactly did the person score? So the person scored 11. So it's 11 minus 17 over 2.7. All right, so here could
It's the
someone
first one.
excellent.
Negative 2.22.
Okay. All right, so 23, we don't have to do any calculation. It says that a community college student interviews everyone a particular stars class to determine that. So it looks like this one of those, whatever came into the person. So it's convenient. Okay, so when we get to 24, in 24 here, all right, so it looks like the student scores this on geography and then this on math. All right, so it looks like a Z-score kind of question. Okay, so let me put information here. Let's say geo and then math. So the value, the X for geo, they scored 56. The X for math, this it's 279. Now, the mean for geo, mu, or the mean for geo is 80. The standard deviation for geo is 20. Now, the mean for math is 300. The standard deviation is 14. So we need to do the z-score, right? So the z-score is a value. So 56 minus 80 over 20. So I need someone to do the calculation here. And then the z-score for math will be 279 minus
The
300.
first one is negative 1.2.
Negative 1.2. Okay. Whoever has the second one can do it for
It's negative 1.5 for the second one.
negative 1.5. So draw a small number line. Suppose this is 0. Let me put a 0 down here. So the 0 means the average, basically, what the average is in z-score average. All right. Now in geo, it's negative 1.2. So this is geo. And then math is negative 1.5. This is math. So it says which one is better, which one is closer to the average.
Geography.
It's geography. So the student did better in geography. All right, so we will choose the first one. Okay, and you're gonna have about 2 or 3 questions on this type of question. So I love this when it gives you the clue every 5th person. So what should we choose?
Systematic.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right. Now the next question, it's a weighted mean. So we're gonna do a small chart. All right, and actually we could put it directly into our TI. All right, so get your TI, go to start, then go to edit. All right, so we have 62, we have 83, and then we have 91, we have 88, and then we have 76, right? Because there were 3 tests. This is a final exam, and this is the homework. Now, the test they said is what? Each test is 20%. So you're going to put 0.20 here, 0.20 here, 0.20 here. Each test is 20%. All right. Now the final exam is 25%. So where we have the final, that's 0.25. And then the homework is what? 15%. So we're going to put 0.15. And then so you put it in a TI, you're going to start, then you go to calc, then you select one var start, and then you put your L1, so the list will be L1, the freak list will be L2, then you say calculate, and you are just selecting X bar, which is the mean. So anyone?
80.6.
Excellent. All right, so in the test, Don't waste your time doing. You could still multiply and then work it out. That's still fine. But I think the calculator goes faster. All right, the calculator goes faster. Okay. Now 27 left to me alone. I would say that is the only difficult type of question you have in the test, the whole test, because that will take a little bit of time. All right. So let's take a solve. Let's see. Now we've been told that your n is 21, which means that you got to later have 10. So you're going to have 10 on the lower half, and then you're going to have 10 on the upper half. Now, usually in the test, it's already arranged because the test condition and you don't have that much time. All right. So if there's 21, then n plus 1 over 2, that's the median position, will be 21 plus 1 over 2, which is what? 22 over 2, which is 11th. So the 11th value is the middle. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is anyone getting 25 as a Q2? So Q2 is 25. Okay, now because we need 10 on the left, then we're going to find the median of the lower half. So note that your lower half will be from here up to here. That's your lower half. All right, so it's 10. So 10 plus 1, 10 plus 1 over 2, that was 5.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the two, you're going to have two values in the middle. All right, so you're going to add, so Q1 will be 22 plus 23 over 2. That will give us 22.5. Now, Q3, so in Q3, you're finding the lower half over here. All right, this side. So the same way, what you notice is that that will fall between these two numbers. All right. So Q3 will be what? 28 plus 30 over 2. That gives you what? Is it 29? That gives you 29. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So you need the outliers. So you need first the interquartile range first. Interquartile range will be Q3 minus Q1. So that's 29 minus 22.5. So interquartile range is 6.5. Right. So here, the outliers, the lower one will be Q1. What is Q1? Q1 is 22.5 minus 1.5 times the interquartile range, which is 6.5. So I wish someone would do that calculation for us.
It's 12.75.
Below, so 12.75. Is there anything below 12.7? So no. All right, then let's look at the upper. All right, so the upper will be 29, wait, 29 plus 1.5 times 6.5.
That's 38.75.
So anything above, you said 38 point what?
75.
75. So let's look at the data. It looks like these two numbers are outliers, right? They are outliers. So because those two are outliers, we know this is out, this is out, this is out. So the answer is between these two, right? Obviously, there was no lower outlier, so this is out. So we know our answer, right? So our answer is this beautiful one here. There are two outliers and there was no lower outlier. So this is great. So this is a question that takes you through everything that you've done in quartile. Okay. And technically that is the only main like a hard question in the test. Okay. In this question, they gave you the standard deviation and then they asking you for the variance. Now note that two formulas you have to know. Standard deviation is equal to square root of what? Variance. However, variance is equals to standard deviation squared. So if they give you standard deviation and they're asking you for variance, this is what you have to use. All you're going to do is to take the number and square it. So we're going to say 9.4 squared. And I don't know what that would be.
88.36.
Okay. So we choose the 88. Okay. Now the next question that we have is, oh, so that's one of the good ones, right? Usually temperature, mark it out your mind that temperature usually, so average temperature, it's what? Interval. Oh. Now they give you a mean. Okay, so do this. A question like this, they give you mean. So 1, 2, 3. The mode, let me see, we have 43 is a mean, 45 is a median, and then 48 is a mode. We know that the mean always pull towards a long tail, so you can create an imaginary thing here. So this is something like this. So what do you think the skewness is?
Negative.
Negative, good. Because skewed to the left is the same as negatively skewed. All right, so this is a very interesting question. Now note that you have Q1, it's 180, right? This is Q1. The middle is Q2. This is Q3. Q3 is 211. Now it says, now this is 25%, this is 25%, this is 25%, and this whole thing is 25%. All right, so let's see what is going on here. One half of the cholesterol level is between 1/2. Okay, 1/2 means 50%, right? Yeah, 1/2, half, 50%. Now, is this statement true or false?
False.
Why do you think it's false? It looks like it's true, right? Because from year to year is 50% of your data. So that is true here. So the first one is true. So we don't have to bother with the rest of it. Okay, now this one, they want us to find 5-number summary. The 5-number summary is the minimum. So the numbers are arranged for us, but they said there are 30 numbers. So your n is 30, meaning that you can get 15 on the left, 15 on the lower side, and then you can get 15 on the upper side. So you don't exclude anything in the middle, right? If there's 30, then n plus 1 over 2, that is 31 over 2, will be what? 50, is it 15.5? So we're looking for the 15th value and then the 16th value. All right, so we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. These are 15th and then the 16th value. Okay, so Q2 is going to be 70 plus 74 over 2. And I have a help? 70 plus 74 over 2. Is it 72? Okay, then now we're going to split the data into two. So we're going to split it somewhere here, right? So 15 on the left, 15 on the right. Now note that 15 plus 1 over 2 gives you a 16 over 2. So the eighth value will be Q1. So let's count to the eighth number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so Q1 is 58. Then we could count backwards, 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Q3 is 83. And looks like that's all we need, right? So the lowest is this. Let me circle the 83. So it should be 31, 58, 72, 83, and 99. So what will be the correct one? Looks like this one, right? Are you with me with this? We good? All right. Okay, so 33, we almost there. Now, they said Chebyshev, the action has at least a percentage. So we know to get the percentage, 3%. These you can memorize, right? So could someone tell me what that would be? Chebyshev, K equals 3. This
88.89.
excellent. So this one is good. All right. So I wrote K equals 8. K equals 3. All right. Now 34. So 34, what we have here says classify the classification of student into this is an example of what should we choose?
Ordinal.
Ordinal, that's correct. They are names and labels, but they are in order. Like a freshman has something less, like less credit or less of something than sophomore, and so on and so forth. Okay, now the next question. Are you able to see it or is frozen?
We can see it.
I'm good.
Oh, okay. Because my other, all right, so that's fine. My other computer froze. It's like, I'm tired of this. Okay. So we have marital status. Marital status. So could I have a suggestion?
Nominal.
Nominal.
Nominal. Good. They are just labels. They don't have any order embedded in it. Okay. Now the next one, it is actually an empirical rule question. The only interesting thing is that they just told you it is bell-shaped. Remember that empirical rule is only for bell-shaped distribution, right? So let's see, the middle is 1000. And when we draw that diagram, I told you to have the diagram by your side. Now, the standard deviation is 200. So when we move one, that's, and when you move to the left, that'll be 800, right? Then what happened when you move again? Am I moving it correctly? When you move again, that will be 1400. Then when you move down one more time, that will be, is it 600?
Yeah, 600.
Okay, so 600. All right. And then the question one asks to actually find from 800 to 14. All right. And that is where your diagram thing is very important. So this is 34. This is 34. This is 13.5. So you have to do 34, 34, 13.5. Could anyone give us the answer?
It's 81.5.
Okay, 81.5. Good. All right, so now the next one, identify the sampling technique. Okay, we are ready. A lobbyist affirmed that each legislation and then uses the computer. So use a computer to randomly generate 10 values. Okay, so anyone want to help us with this? There's random in it. They didn't break the population into groups.
Random.
So excellent. So it's just random. Great, great. And then 38, which is not a measure of central tendency. Now remember that central tendency is
quartile.
excellent, excellent, excellent. And oh, this one is acting as for cumulative. Now cumulative. So cumulative frequency group 1 is 25. 25 plus 75 will be 100. 100 plus 200 will be 300. 400. So that will be 300. 300. Okay, and then the last question, leave that out. This we didn't do it in class. So you're not going to get any questions similar to this in the test. Okay, so that's it for the review package. You're going to have similar